Dirt roads to rock crawling, two-buck chuck to screaming eagle, moonshine to 50-year-old single malt. We talk about it all here on Wheelin' Wine and Whiskey with your hosts, Jason and Chris.
Welcome to Wheelin' Wine and Whiskey, episode 170 on remote Meadow Lake, California, otherwise known as Summit City back in the day. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm great. Our backs are to the lake. It's a beautiful day. We have some clouds in the sky and a little breeze, but this is one of my favorite places.
Absolutely. And so we just wrapped up the actual Sierra Trek event that we've been talking about, the 55th annual. 55th. Double nickel.
Double nipple.
Whoa, I said nickel.
Nickel. I said nickel.
Nipple. It was a great event. The weather was outstanding for the 4 days, the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of the event.
Great attendance, great weather.
Yeah, and it was... Camp was hopping, man. There was a lot going on there.
Yeah, it was like almost like the good old days with lots of vendor booths and a lot of people milling about, checking out the vendors. Snack bar seemed to be busy all the time. And the bar, well, that was hopping.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The goat's milk was flowing again this year. Brought back last year by the goats, Capital C Mountain Goats,
That's
and
right.
I just had a sip. I never had a full goat's milk. I don't know. It was like the weekend got away from me.
I had two.
I was at the bar for a Jack and Coke, and that was it.
Wow.
Yeah. That was it.
You didn't drink at all this weekend?
No, I didn't say that. I just said I was only at the bar once. So, but no, it was the snack bar. Oh my gosh. So on Friday and Saturday, got the cheeseburger and fries.
That's right. Fries with cheese on it.
And then, they had the Putin fries. Isn't that what they call that? Putin?
I got the fries with cheese sauce poured on it. Oh, man, so good.
And then, they had the T-shirt booth going, the commemorative glass mugs.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the meals. So they did breakfast and lunch. Breakfast and dinner, no lunches.
Right,
so that's why the snack
Friday,
bar.
Saturday and Sunday. Breakfast and dinner on Friday and Saturday. Dinner on Thursday and breakfast on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all great meals. Whether it was eggs, pancakes for breakfast, and
biscuits and gravy,
ham, and of course
bacon.
The dinner. Bacon, sausage.
Right.
Woo! Yeah, nobody went hungry when they were here at Meadow Lake.
Pulled pork sandwiches one night for dinner.
That's right.
And then we had tri-tip on Saturday night for dinner.
That's the big night. That's the big party night, because that right after that becomes the raffle.
Yeah, the whole raffle. So let's go in order. We just kind of gave a little overview here, but Wednesday night rolled into camp, and then Thursday morning
I got here.
You got here, and we got camp kind of settled in. We were camping with the Mad Hatters.
That's right.
John and Renee were the chair people of the event.
That's correct. Shout out to the Mad Hatters for their hospitality.
Holy smokes! There was it was fun. We had we went and got wood on Friday or Thursday. So we loaded up a huge pile of wood, which we still have some left, which is great.
Yep.
Got the Peter heater going. There was a river run on Thursday that left main camp, and then, of course, the main run coming up from Cisco Grove. And they made it into camp pretty early. I know there was a few breaks. I didn't hear all the details, but it sounded like everybody was off the trail by,
I think
early afternoon.
Yeah,
or early
o'clock.
evening, I should say.
4 or 5 o'clock.
5, 6 o'clock.
Something like that.
So that was a good day. The trail is crazy rough. Wind chill 4 was a mess. Santa Cruz wheelers, I know, were working on that and moved a lot of rock on that hill and had winch lines out, and it was pretty impressive, their operation to get people keep people moving on that hill.
Well, a lot of participants in the short wheelbase run this year, and obviously that included a lot of JKs and JLs and some buggies and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, to the coordination to keep however many rigs in each of these runs moving through the trail so that people can be back at base camp at a reasonable time, barring any rollovers or carnage or breakage. But yeah, I think that all the volunteer efforts were pretty admirable.
So 170. How many volunteers did John say there were?
I think
200 and something? 250 volunteers.
250 volunteers.
250 volunteers, and that's, I mean, everything. They set up a full city.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
In camp, and there's a well, so they set that up, get that operating, so we have water in camp. There's a generator with power going everywhere that Oli sets up for all the booze.
Showers.
The showers that Sierra Treasure Hunters do, so you can go get a shower for $5.
Is medical is a medic. What do you call it? A hospital tent, I guess, like a MASH.
Was there? No, it's just the medic booth, and then.
Yep.
Yeah, all that stuff, and it's all Trek bucks. So it's you got to turn in your cash to funny money for the event.
I had like 30 left over, but
did you really?
Yeah, the money went to a good.
Well,
cause.
it all goes to Cal4WD, right?
Right.
So that's really cool. So Thursday night was the good old pasta dinner, which was awesome, and then Friday morning I did the river run. Okay, so we had 30 plus rigs on that, 25, 30 rigs on that operation, and it was kind of towards the front, I guess. Yeah, I was towards the front.
Okay.
So we get down, wind chill 5, no problem, wind chill 4, and the walking jeepers were running that Friday morning river run.
Okay.
And, the goal is to get down the committee, turn around, and come back up before the Friday run comes up the trail, the full Friday run from Cisco Grove. And we get down on 4, and they decided to move a rock that had moved from the trail before, I guess. I mean, it was a significant rock that they felt that they had to move.
Was it the size of a Volkswagen?
It was the size of like a Mini Cooper. No, it was half the size of that. But anyways, it was a significant rock. So... I was a participant, so I just kept my mouth shut and watched the operation and said, okay. So it took like an hour to move this rock, and then started sending
before the trail run.
What's that?
Shouldn't this have been done before the trail run?
No, well, you don't. Rocks move in the middle of the night.
I guess
these night runs.
Night run.
So. Go down and finally get the trail or the rock out of the way. They start heading down the trail, and like the 5th rig was a 2018 JKU scepter shaft off the steering left the chat.
Whoops.
So I was like, "You're screwed." Seen this before. So obviously, right in the middle of windshield 4, couldn't get around him. Right. Trail stopped. So it's like, okay. And they had all kinds of ideas, and I'm like, look, I've seen this before. I've done it before in my Jeep with zero steering.
Was this what happened with Kobe last year?
No, that was a whole nother issue.
Okay.
So we got to get him off the side of the trail so that we can get the people moving again.
Right.
We've got the morning river run going down. They got to come back up, and then all the vehicles coming up from the day run.
From the day run, right.
So, I said, okay, I talked to the driver. The driver's name was Steve. I said, look, this is how this is going to go down. And I just ran it by him and the walking jeepers because this wasn't my operation. I said, here's the idea. Here's what I know should work.
Okay.
So they agreed. Well, some big boy, very, very boisterous and just, was, no, you got to back him up. You got to winch him up. Well, gravity's your friend, Chris.
Of course.
Not always, not when you flop over your vehicle, but it's your friend in this situation. So I said, Joaquin, jeepers, it's your call. This is your hill. Yeah. This is your show. But I said, if you want my help, I will help get him over to here. And then in the meantime, this big boy starts talking to the owner of the rig, Steve, and I was like, no, they're going to break more shit and all this stuff and yeah, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen, right?
Right.
But so I looked at Steve and I go, your choice. I said, I got you. And he goes, all right, let's do it.
Okay.
So
game on.
Big boy went back up the hill, and then we went down, and it had to do a lot of Austin Power stuff, take the pressure off the steering. We had 2 people on each tire, front tire, to turn it, driver or passenger, whatever we needed. You could also, we were throwing rocks in to help curb the tire to get it to stay or turn, and it worked really well. And then we got to a point where we could winch. Used his winch to pull the front end off the trail, And then we needed to get the ass end off the trail, so there was a really well-built Bronco right behind him with a winch. So got him into position, snatch blocked off a tree, and it was almost 90-degree perfect pull to pull the ass end over. So then I had him put it in two-wheel drive, unlock the front, because we had the front anchored already.
Okay.
And we needed to just literally slide the ass end over. And so to break the friction, we had him put it in reverse, to back up, spin the tires a bit as we were pulling with the winch.
Using like the ground like ball bearings.
Exactly. It's all about ball bearings these days, Chris.
It's basically space products.
So drug his ass end over, had him in a very good position to work on the rig, and other rigs could get through. Everybody made it through, and there was, some off-camber that was throwing rigs, bodies into his Jeep.
Oops.
But smaller rig, no problem. But then one of the last rigs was a freaking full-blown Blazer.
Like a full-size
Blazer. And I'm like, a square body, it was a cool rig. And he's like, dude, am I going to make this? I said, well, we could throw a rock and kind of push it away if we have to. He just barely squeezed by. Oh, boy. But everybody else was by at that point. So now we started taking out the steering box and had the box out. By that time, Santa Cruz four-wheelers were there setting up all their winches and everything to get everybody back up the hill.
Okay.
And one of the guys says, oh, that JK right there has a welded scepter shaft, and we did that 5 years ago. I'm waving my white bullshit flag because, one, why would you even take the chance of having a welded link in your steering operation going down the highway?
Right.
I mean, trail's one thing, but going down the highway, steering's pretty important in brakes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. Yeah, sure. I'm sure it's possible to weld this thing and get you off the trail, but you got to take the steering box apart, which is no small feat, and then weld it and put it back together.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay. I said, Steve, I'm heading back up to main camp. I've already got radio in looking for a box. Apparently there's no box in camp. I said, but I've got some people coming in, and let me see if we can find you a box. I said, I will have you a box before it gets dark.
Oh,
he goes, all right. So in the meantime, they decided to tear the box apart and weld it.
Did it hold?
It did not hold. So
bullshit flag is
well, and I asked John Allen, right?
Because
Because John Allen's there was a lot of great welders in camp, and I asked all of them. I'm like, would you do this? Is it possible? Would it work? And they all shook their head. Hell no. But whatever. I don't know. People do some strange things and make stuff work, cobbled together and get real creative.
So I mean, that original shaft is probably forged or cast or
yeah. I mean, it's I don't know exactly the process there, but it has a tremendous amount of force on it.
Sure. And
to get a good weld, and you probably need to heat up the shaft prior to gluing it together. So whatever. So it was perfect. I get back to camp. The closest person with the box is in the Bay Area in Danville, San Ramon area.
That's
so one of the Mad Hatters was coming up and said, hey, I could run by Walt's house, pick up a steering box and bring it to camp. I'm saying, okay, well, at least we know one's coming.
Right.
So then I get a text from Kimberly Plake. Yeah, it goes, hey, we're on our way in. We're in Reno going to Summit. Do you need anything? And I'm like, well, funny that you ask. I need a 2018 JKU steering box, power steering box. And I said, if Summit probably only has like PSC, aftermarket stuff.
Upgrade stuff.
So I said, if you could hit a Napa or O'Reilly or something, if it's not too far out of your way, that would be awesome. And so we were texting back and forth. Okay, got one. Showed a picture. She sent a picture of Glenn holding this big ass, cardboard box with a power steering box in it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, they said, "Hey, we'll be at camp around 3:30." And so at 3:30, I started heading out on the main road. Sure enough, there they are. Pick up the box.
They were camping down the road a little bit.
Yeah. So I said, "Perfect." So James and I turned around, or no, it was Jimmy and I.
Jimmy Jet.
So
we'll talk all about the
went down the trail, and then of course it was like salmon going. We were like a salmon swimming upstream because all the people were coming up.
Sure.
So we got to
just gonna send it
near. We got near the top of Wind Chill 4.
Do you see the sheriff
within 100 feet, and 100 yards, I would say. And I said, Jimmy, you're going to have to run this thing down. So he did. He freaking got out and ran it down there to the guy, which was great. So, and then he
had tools and everything to do it.
Yeah, there was people loaning him stuff. He had a tool set and impacts and stuff. But anyways, he had to take the old box out.
Right. That
was broken again for the second time, and then put the new box in and was able to drive up because he was driving home. He didn't trailer it up here. So, I'm like, dude, you need a new box. Whether you make it off the trail to camp or not, you're going to want something new to get home. So he did, and it all worked out. And then there was two other steering boxes that broke on the trail, I heard. So the one that came up from Walt, it did get used as well.
Oh, okay.
So it was a steering box. I mean, there was a lot of other breaks too. There was some rollovers, I heard.
With some flops, drive lines.
Yeah, a lot of driveline stuff.
Hubs,
Yeah. But anyway, so I didn't make it the whole down to committee, obviously, that day. We turned around and headed back to get the steering box thing.
I noticed you pulled back into camp pretty early. I'm like,
it was 12 o'clock, and I wanted to be back in camp by 12 o'clock, so it worked out well. So anyways, camp activities that day, there was, I don't know, what did you do that day?
What was that, Friday?
Friday.
Well, putted around camp quite a bit. Walked back and forth from main camp, and I know I wanted to get. I think Thursday I probably got my registration packet, but wandered around, visited the vendors that already started to set up their booths, which was the big vendor day was Saturday, but there were still quite a few that had booths set up on Friday. Like I said, wandered around, just reconnected with a lot of people. It's like a meet and greet and who's who of Cal4 and anybody that's involved in off-roading is going to be in main camp if they're not on trail. So, grabbed a bite to eat at the snack shack. I remember getting a burger and sat in the Morphlate booth for a bit. And, it's just, talked to Tyler. And like you said, Tyler was here handling the communications, so I talked with him a little bit and asked him how that was going, and he'll probably give a full rundown about his situation on their show.
Seemed to work pretty well this year with the phones.
Yeah.
Texting.
Yeah. So, but, I hung around in camp and just kind of watched the trail, the convoy of people rolling into camp from down the hill, and of course all the people arriving on Meadow Lake Road as the meadows and the campgrounds all started to get filled up. Once all the dust settled, which never really did settle, but you look out of the meadow above where we're camped right now, the meadows were full, which it's encouraging.
It was great. It was a good turnout. I understand the raffle exceeded last year's raffle. I heard some numbers around $34,000 in raffle sales.
Right.
The snack bar sold out on Saturday, right before dinner, so that worked out perfect. The bank did well. Obviously, they're buying all the Trek bucks. The bar did just over $7,000, just under $8,000, something like that.
That's awesome.
And then it was over $80,000 in registrations.
Woo! And as everybody knows, Sierra Trek is one of the biggest, if not the biggest fundraiser for Cal4.
The biggest.
So all of the support from the registrants and wheelers in the Bay Area, or all up and down the state, and from out of state too, that pile into this area.
People from Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
Belarus was our long distance winner there, Olga.
Oh, that's right.
Belarus.
Olga. Right.
So she got the long distance award. Yeah, it was great. It was great because I only see some of these people once a year at this event, that come in. That's the one time our paths cross. So it's always just a blast hanging out in camp and catching up with people. And,
heck yeah.
Seeing their rigs or new rigs or what they've done to their rig. And, every year this trail gets harder, and every year the vehicles get, more equipped and bigger tires, and
they adapt
to the terrain for sure.
So the terrain takes a beating from the bigger rig, and then they adapt to make the rig bigger to take on the terrain, which makes the terrain worse. It makes the need a bigger rig. It's a never-ending thing.
Cyclical.
So before you know it, all of us will be driving buggies with 60-inch tall tires on.
Tractor tires. So let's get into the meals a bit. We just had someone step into the studio here at Meadow Lake. Very special guest here. she's been on the podcast before. She's going to be on the podcast in the future here talking about Rebel Rally and stuff. But
That's right.
Checkpoint Dolly's here. Dolly, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. How can you not? We're up here in this beautiful lake, and the crowds are gone, and Sierra Trek was awesome.
This is the quiet after the storm. So this was your second Sierra Trek, you said?
This is my fourth Sierra
fourth
Trek.
Actual Sierra Trek.
For 4 years, I've been trying to go on that history run.
Okay,
And
that's
we did
right.
it this year.
Okay, so we'll get into that in a minute. I know you and Rhonda were helping out in the kitchen a lot. So I wanted to talk about the food operations and how you feed 600 people.
It was very interesting. 600 people. Yeah, we came up a little bit short on help, so we stepped in, Rhonda and I.
Right.
But it was interesting watching everybody come through, and the people that we saw. It was the food was just pouring out.
Yeah.
Meat. These are meat eaters.
Meat.
Oh, yeah.
Bacon.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of bacon.
Need more bacon, more sausage.
Yeah.
Biscuits,
and luckily
gravy.
we did breakfasts, so breakfasts are kind of slow. It's not like the 600 people lined up for dinner.
Right. Right.
Yeah, 600 people hungry for dinner. Nah, I don't want to be serving
Angry
that
mob.
food. Yeah. Yeah.
So what time did you have to be in the kitchen in the morning to start the
We
operation?
did 4:30 one morning. We did 6 o'clock on the Sunday morning.
Yeah, 4:30 is a little early.
Yeah.
I usually get up before that for
And they've got these
regular
military ovens that they spark up.
Right.
And then the well had some issues.
Okay.
So we had to sanitize. We had to boil all the water that was used.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we had all the jet boils going. That was interesting.
Yeah, and they got the big pots and all the propane burners and stuff. And then you got the Cal4WD built a trailer years ago that they use at the different events that has the griddles on it.
4 griddles
Yeah.
and a sink.
Sink at the back, to wash up. So, yeah, it's quite an operation out in the middle of nowhere. For feeding 600 people.
I'm telling you.
it's a heck of a deal.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I love feeding people.
Oh, yeah.
And that many people coming through, and I didn't have to buy all the food and organize it. I just had to show up and be labor.
Help fix it and serve it. That. So when you're in the serving line, it's fun to talk to everybody and yeah.
Oh yeah, Eric had a ball in the serving line.
Eric was throwing dinner rolls at people, so I saw
Dinner and
that.
butter.
Yeah, butter and so that's pretty cool. So Andrea was the head food honcho there that organized and
I understand this was her first time.
No, she did it last year.
She did. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know.
Because
last
she's
year
made comments a couple times that she didn't have records from last year.
Oh,
on
really?
A couple
Oh, I
things.
thought- I
so
thought-
maybe
I
she
thought
was
she
like
did.
a chairperson for the food last year.
It could have been. But
she did an awesome job.
yeah, we had a full salad bar for Saturday night.
that was
right?
great. Oh yeah,
salad.
Saturday night.
Fresh
yeah,
salad out in here.
Yeah, and,
camping.
the garbanzo beans, kidney beans,
Broccoli,
and
your favorite?
carrots, onions, croutons. Of course, you got to have croutons, bacon bits,
They had the iceberg lettuce, and then of course
and the
mixed
fancy lettuce.
Oh yeah, the fancy lettuce.
European blend.
with
Looks like weeds they got right out of the meadow.
well,
But
dandelions.
I mixed it up. I mixed both of them up. I did a combo.
Oh, well, there you go.
But yeah, the food turned out great. It's nice to just go up there and you're BSing with your friends in line, and then get a nice hot meal and sit down in the meadow and enjoy it.
Oh, meet the wonderful people in line.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Get
absolutely.
chatting away.
And there's always dessert. We had oh man, those, I don't know if they were a quadruple or a quintuple chocolate brownie, but there was chocolates on top of chocolate on top of chocolate.
Those were so rich. I was
Oh,
like, holy
They're
crap.
so good.
They were so good.
And this is the one time a year that I have chocolate milk. They always have the little, like when you're a kid in school, and they have the regular milk and then the chocolate milk. And I always have to have my chocolate milk with dessert here at Meadow Lake.
How much did milk cost for you in school back in the day?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't remember.
6
You
cents.
notice-
6 cents.
But you notice those cartons are a lot smaller.
Yeah,
Of course.
those are tiny.
Inflation, or what do they call it?
Yeah, but you said it. You've talked about it on the podcast. You can't remember right
50
now.
cents for milk?
Well, the word there's where the package shrinkflation.
Shrinkflation.
Shrinkflation,
Where
yep.
the packaging shrinks, and so you have a smaller amount of product, and you pay the same price. So the makers are making more money. It's more profit.
Yeah.
Or the same amount of money.
So that was the food operation, and if you went away hungry, that was your own fault.
It was really nice prepping to come here and not having to load up food.
Right.
Well,
we knew
for 3 days.
Knowing that your meals
we
were
were on
provided
it
for
for
Trek.
5 days because we started on Wednesday,
Uh-huh.
but they fed us on Wednesday.
Oh, they
They fed us on Wednesday and they fed us on Thursday. So all we had to do was bring lunch.
Oh, right on.
Lunch and snacks.
Perfect.
It was great.
And the fact that you just drove up here in a Jeep.
Yeah, that's our
No
first
motorhome
time
for
just
you.
Jeep camping.
Jeep
Yep.
camping.
Yeah, not have
with
to
your
bring
shift
all
pod.
that stuff. Yep.
Your asteroid launching shift pod here.
The shift pod, yeah. My little spaceship.
Yeah.
Hey, that little spaceship
pretty
is
cool.
nice.
Pretty cool.
Does it have a fuel cell in it too, like a little hydrogen fuel cell? Or
Oh,
anything?
no, it's all run by solar.
Oh, nuclear.
There you go.
Nuclear power plant.
So that pretty much we're through Friday. So it was just, and the weather was outstanding every day. Perfect weather.
Yep.
Not too hot, not too cold. I mean, at night it got down to like 55 degrees or something. It was perfect. Cool enough to sleep, but not freezing.
Yep.
And then, of course, we had the band that night, Diva Rocks.
Friday we also set up the booth.
But did you man it?
No, not much.
So
on
it doesn't.
Friday.
We don't even need to talk about it then.
No, well, but we manned it on Saturday, and we'll talk about Saturday soon.
So
It was nice having the booth sitting there so we can go hide under
So
it.
there you go. So we set up an easy up with our banner. We had the Wheeling Wine and Whiskey banner sitting there and a table. So we looked somewhat official there in the meadow. So it's cool. So the vendors, BFG was there. Bun, we'll talk about some night runs here. We got to run, first time I got to wheel with Sue and Chai Bun and their kids. And then, who else was there? Of course, the Tread Lightly booth, Corva was there. The state park booth was there. They had like what was that, a bobcat or something? They had a stuffed bobcat sitting there.
Oh, yeah.
Lynx
Oh,
or
I
something.
watched a little
There
girl
was a cat.
walk by it.
Yeah.
And I said, watch it. And she just panicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was that was cool. InReach was there, the helicopter,
Right.
CalStar deal, 4-wheel parts. It was. I know I'm missing some people, and I'm sorry, but I'm just trying to think of who I saw
meant
there.
to take pictures of all the vendors. When
Of
I
course,
walked around.
Kobe was there with his tire gauges, tire
Was rough
right.
stuff there.
And Marlon was here.
Marlon.
Marlon and
Marlon had a
Christina.
booth set up. I got to talk to Marlon. I hadn't seen him in years.
Oh, uh-huh.
So it was good to see Marlon. How do you pronounce his last name?
No, don't
Chopkowski or
even
something?
try.
Yeah. And then Tyler, of course, had his Morphlate / communications booth. And then, man, I did not walk around all the vendor booths, but something that Jimmy did I thought was a great idea from Snail Trail, and he borrowed one of our mics and cords because I don't know why he didn't have his full setup.
Surprised it doesn't have a sticker.
Man, you know what? That's right. We should see if there's any.
Yeah,
snail
mine doesn't have a
stickers around.
sticker on it.
But he went around and went to each vendor booth and said, "Give me 5 minutes. Give me your spiel in 5 minutes."
Right.
So that's going to be a cool episode to hear what everybody had to say, and there were products, new products, whatever that they were showing here during Trek. But Saturday's like the main day that pretty much everybody's in camp. There's the Saturday River Run.
Right.
So James was leading that. Ozzy was part of that group.
Correct.
Justin and I don't know who else they had. I think they had a Mad Hatter or two that helped out.
They had 21 rigs on the run.
21 rigs,
and they
good.
had 5 support vehicles.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay.
So it was
there
really
you go.
nice.
Yeah. And so I know James was really concerned and wanted to be organized and everything dialed in, and he did a great job. So it was pretty effortless. I don't know if there was anything major that happened on the trail. I didn't hear of anything major.
They were back pretty early.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they were trying to get back before the raffle.
Yeah.
So they did real well. They got back about 4.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was James was one of the last ones off the trail. Ozzy was back pretty early. He was out in front on the way back,
Right.
and James was in the back. It was the other way around. James led down. Ozzy was towards the back, I guess. So, but he was in camp a good hour and a half or 2 hours before James.
Right.
Book it back. If he's out in front, you're not going to see him the rest of the day.
No, not driving a retired Ultra 4 race car.
Yeah, well, that was Eric Wick's pre-runner car that
Pretty
they ran
much,
for
yeah.
years at
Yep,
Johnson
yep.
Valley, checking out all the trails before KOH race. I do got to jump back. So Friday night we did a night run. Well, we did a night run Thursday night too, but it seemed like every night we were doing night runs. But Friday night run was fun. So we had Justin that we just talked about, Ozzy, and Chai and Sue Bunn, the Plakes, Glenn and Kimberly, myself. Man, I don't know. We had like 8 rigs or something, James and Rhonda. And so I said, hey, we're just going to do an easy run, the old miners loop, I call it. So it's coming out of main camp by the lake, and then you drop down in where some of the old mines still are. You can see all kinds of tailing piles and stuff where they're doing test holes. Obviously, it's night, full moon, but it was beautiful. And drive out there, drove past the old miners' cabin that was inhabited till 1972, I believe.
Right.
And Catfish Pond right there. And then you drop right before Excelsior Mine at the top of Windshield 5.
Correct.
So then we made a left, went down Windshield 5, played down there, and I, let's see, was that the night? Yeah, that was the night I lost my brakes.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I came off the first big ledge in the center of Windshield 5, hit the brake pedal, and it went straight to the floor. I didn't panic because we are in gear and four-wheel drive, and it's low, low, low. So, but it's a little unnerving knowing that you don't have any brakes.
Right. No,
Very
for sure.
poor brakes. So I'm like, what the heck? So we turned around, came back up. So I popped the master cylinder, and it's a dual master cylinder, front and rear, and the rear is totally dry, like the Sahara Desert dry.
Oh boy.
And so I'm like, what the hell? So I'm looking at every caliper. There's no leaks. Of course it's night. It's 11 o'clock or so at night. And I got the flashlight. I'm like, okay, well, obviously oil went somewhere.
Yeah.
Don't know where. Let's throw some oil in it and then bleed the brakes and get back to camp. So we did that and got back to camp, no problem. But we hung out there with the full moon, sitting at the top of Windshield 5, looking down that valley is just spectacular.
Oh, I bet.
And then here comes Horton.
Horton with a who?
Horton and Pete, Big Pete, that was at KOH.
Oh, uh-huh.
And their crew doing a night run down to Committee and back.
Oh, boy.
And they were starting around, 11 something. We were there. And so I'm like, all right, Horton. And so he goes down, and he was the last one in their group. They had all gone, left him. And he goes down, and then he works his way up the center line, puts on a show for us, and then went back down the trail.
Uh-huh.
And so we said, okay, it was getting close to midnight. We said, let's call it tonight. Let's head back to camp. And I said, yeah, with my brake situation, I ain't going down the trail any further. So got back to camp, and that was our night run Friday night. And then so back to Saturday, night run happened again, and we ended up heading down the trail to Windshield 3.
Right. And you didn't leave camp until like 10:30.
Yeah, so I was emceeing the event that night. So it was a nice, relaxing day in camp and visiting with everybody like we talked about. The cornhole tournament was going on.
Right.
So
I manned the booth for quite a while.
You did man the booth. So thank you, Chris, for stepping up and manning the booth. I noticed Lorenzo has not left the camper this whole trip. I've had the door wide open. I thought for sure he'd be at the booth, but he never made it, huh?
Nope.
Have you talked to him at all?
No, I don't talk to him.
Are you guys
anymore.
pissed off at each other, or what's going on?
I don't like him.
Oh, wow. Apparently he doesn't like you either. I haven't seen him, stick his head out right now.
Maybe he's just too drunk to come out.
No, he's been stone sober this entire trip.
I don't know if that's true or not.
No, it's true. It's true. So anyways, so we the emceeing. So last year I emceed for the first time, and so I was just kind of learning and remembering what people did in the past, and then talking with.
Keep the crowd engaged.
You got to keep the crowd engaged, and so I came up with this trivia thing to help fill in, some of the blank spots when you're transitioning between all the different things. And so I brought that back again this year, which was great.
Cool.
So
That's very cool.
Tyler donated some air gauges, some digital air gauges, and koozies. I threw some Wheeling Wine and Whiskey koozies in there. So those were our prizes for the trivia questions that we had. And it was all trivia surrounding, off-roading and the area here that we're at, Meadow Lake and Summit City.
Yeah, what's with asking the Toyota
history.
questions, though? I mean,
I had to throw one token Toyota question in, but apparently we were wrong. So the question was, what was the last year of a solid front axle in Toyota? So 1985. Well, Tyler corrected me and said, no, they had a solid axle in 1997, up to 1997.
Land Cruiser.
Land Cruiser. So I'm like, okay, whatever, you Toyota guys. I can't keep up. But so it was fun. And John Allen, the chair, he was on a microphone below the stage. I was on stage this year. I didn't plan on being on stage, but, I did not want any reverb because, when you're walking around with a microphone out in front of those speakers, you get some terrible reverb, right? So it was a blast. It flowed well. We did the live auction. There was a lot of live auction deals, and we auctioned off 3 of the same thing, the signs that they use to direct people into Meadow Lake.
Painted signs.
And they're super cool. They're big rounds from, that they cut up the logs and then paint them, and then they stencil on the logo. And super cool, but I'm like, live auction, you can't do like 3 of the same thing. Everything's got to be unique. But we did it. We raised a lot of money for Cal4WD. Dolly helped out, and Amber parading
we were the
prizes
Vanna
around.
Whites.
What's that?
We were doing the Vanna Whites.
Yeah, the Vanna Whites. They were the Vanna Whites.
or the Price is Right girls.
Or the Price is Right.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
There we go.
That's even better.
Trying to get those people to separate with their pocket money.
Right. And so it was good. You guys were working the crowd great. And it was hard for me, especially as it started getting dark, to see who was bidding on what and hear from what people were bidding. But we some items went for $250 and stuff.
Oh, no, people were being very generous.
The Rubicon, your daughter bid on the Rubicon round that Tyler laser etched, and it was the actual section of a tree from the Big Sluice, the Rubicon.
She really wanted that one.
She really wanted that.
Amber wanted that one bad.
Well, so it came out at $250, and then somebody outbid her. I think it got up to $300.
It got up to $300.
$300 we got for that. So that was cool, which was a bargain because at the Rubicon Trail Foundation dinner, I think it went for $1,500.
Yeah, it sure did.
So yeah. So that was cool, and of course, all the thank yous to all the volunteers and people that really stepped up, and then like Dolly and Rhonda that weren't even on a committee, and you just help out. That's just the way it goes.
I mean, even like we had some other friends up here from our Jeep club, or like Big Jim O'Leary. He jumped in and helped in the kitchen, and it's just super cool to see everybody just helping out whatever they can.
Well, Railtown Club, they were working a breakfast.
Okay.
Their club is only like 15 strong, so they didn't have a whole lot of people. And Joe Satins asked us. He says, "Hey, can you come in and help?"
Yeah.
So it was good that we came in and on the fly and took care of that.
And they're a good group. We see them a few times a year. We see them at the Adopt a Trail. They're doing Adopt Trail in the same area we are, and then of course they're just in Tracy. So, and they're friends of the podcast. We have quite a few of them that support the podcast.
Yep.
So
there's a lot of clubs up here.
Yeah.
Oh,
a lot of good support on the clubs.
Right.
That was good to see.
So it went well. We're more efficient than last year, but we're going to be even tighter for next year. I'm going to tighten up that live auction thing, and then they read 14. We did 14 of the top raffle prizes.
Correct.
So there was, I don't know how many raffle prizes there were, but there was quite a few really cool prizes. But we read the top 14 numbers.
Drawn by children.
By the kids,
in honor of Amber.
Yeah, yeah. So the first one we read off, the biggest prize of the night, 5 BFG tires. And guess who won that?
I was there, but I can't remember.
You can't remember? See?
Really?
Dolly won. Yeah.
We won it.
Dolly won.
That's
Amber was holding the ticket.
Yeah.
It was the top ticket. And she looked at me, and we couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Well, man, that's
5
that's timely.
BFGs.
Are they going to go on the
Up
Via
to
Cross?
39 inches.
39's on the Via Cross?
Oh, no. We're not going to put 39s on the Via Cross. No way.
So where are the tires going to go? They're going to go on the Via Cross.
Don't know yet.
Don't know yet.
Don't know yet.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Super
Thank you.
cool. Yeah. And then, of course, there was a Warren winch was the next big prize. There was another set of tires, Hankook? Hankook tires? Hankook.
$1,000 gift certificate.
There was a $1,000 gift certificate
to a tire place. Yeah.
And then there was the barbecue that Santa Cruz Four Wheelers, they always build a cool barbecue, and that goes in the raffle. So anyways, just some great prize. Power tank setup.
Can I say something about the barbecue real quick?
Go ahead.
So I was just sitting there. It's like, oh, please don't let me win that. Please don't let me win that.
Why? You don't want to win a barbecue?
No, I would have loved to have won a barbecue. It's just I don't have my trailer this year. I'm like,
How do you get it home?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you get this thing home? You don't just put it in the back of your Jeep,
Ratchet strap it to the rear of my camper. I don't know.
right?
Find an empty trailer or a little room on a trailer somewhere.
Right.
That's right. That's right. But
So
that's a super cool barbecue.
The other tradition that happens is Chris Collard throws out these rubber spiky balls
Oh, yeah.
to the crowd, and if you catch one of the balls, you can go to the bar and redeem it for a drink.
Yep.
And then the bar will bring back the balls when they're redeemed. So we do that like 3-4 times throughout the night.
He hucked one right at me.
Yeah. Well, how about the T-shirt canner from WFO?
Oh,
that almost
that
took out a
T-shirt
kid there.
can.
What? I mean, it was
awesome.
It was fly. I mean, they were well over 100 feet in the air. They were launching these things and coming down hot.
That thing was
Did you
loaded
see
up.
on the internet where they put a cheeseburger in there?
No.
Yeah, they launched a cheeseburger.
They launched a cheeseburger. It was wrapped up or something,
Yeah,
like a
wrapped
McDonald's
up a
cheeseburger
McDonald's
or something.
cheeseburger
Yeah,
with that cannon.
I've seen T-shirt cannons before, but that thing was ramped up a few extra.
Oh, it's
Ugga-duggas
WFO.
or
What else do
something.
you expect?
Yeah. So
Definitely.
So yeah. Anyways, it was a good event. And so that, kind of wrapped up the evening. And then Diva Rocks got on stage. And then so we headed back to camp here. And I was tired. I'm like, okay, chill.
I got the campfire going.
You had the campfire going. We had the
Ooh,
Peter
that
heater
Peter
up
heater.
here. So a lot of people came back to camp and we're just hanging out.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was just a fun night. And then I don't know who started it, but somebody goes, night run.
Night run.
James.
I'm guarantee it was James. But no, it wasn't James because he did not want to. He couldn't drive. He couldn't operate a motor vehicle.
He was inebriated.
He wasn't going to go. And he looked like Tyler did last year. He looked like a zombie from running the trail.
Oh, that's right. He was busy the whole
you're
weekend.
getting.
Yeah, I'm sure he
exactly.
was beat by then.
So, night run. So the same group that we had Friday night, plus a few more people, and so our goal was to get down, just go down the trail, and
Probably
turn around at
play
some
at
point.
Winch Hill 3.
Yeah, we were, and nobody was on the trail. We went down 5, went down 4. Start to approach 3, and James was my right seat. I actually had to convince him to go because he's like, no, I'm not going. And I said, dude, I got a right seat open. And you were already snuggled up around the campfire, so you were out. So I go, okay. And he goes, all right, I'll jump in. And we had a ball, man. It was just so much fun. So we got down to Winch Hill 3, and there was, I don't know if it was it used to be a Samurai, but it was some sort of buggy that was totally sideways in the box on 3.
Somebody said it had a 4Runner logo on the dash.
It might have been, I don't know. I didn't get close enough to it. I was looking from the top, and
You never know with these builds.
And
It could be anything.
and so Horton was down there, because he's running the trail 24/7.
He doesn't sleep.
No, I don't think so. And so he had a winch line on this guy's rig. There was another winch line down below. And I'm just looking at this operation. Again, not my operation. I don't even know these people. And I'm just surveying it, and I'm going, this ain't going to work the way they got this set up. And so I went over to Horton, and I go, dude, you need to disconnect, dude, because you're gonna screw up your rig. And so he backed off, and then, I don't know, there was a lot of chefs in the kitchen, let's just say that way. And, some of them were not in the right frame of mind to be making sound decisions. And so we
Our
roll.
listeners can read into that one.
We roll up to the scene, and so I was back talking. Big Pete was there, and it's not a side-by-side because it's only a single-seater with 40s on it. So I don't know what you call that thing, but it's a Polaris single-seat freaking badass rig that he had at KOH, and then, he goes everywhere in that thing. So I'm sitting there talking with him, and a good 10 minutes go by, and they're still down there, just no action happening. So I go, okay, I got to say something now. So I saw the owner, don't know his name. I said, do you want our help? We can get you out of this situation. We have a great recovery, experience amongst this group.
We know what we're doing.
Well, and it doesn't always work, but we got some ideas that I'm pretty confident are going to work.
Right.
So Glenn jumps into action. The guy says, yeah, I'll take whatever help I can get. So Glenn jumps into action, gets Kimberly's buggy all set up, gets a winch line on the back to lift the ass end up.
Okay.
Because, you're in the box, so it's, for those of people that don't know what Winch Hill 3 is at Fordyce Creek Trail, it's like a box. I mean, it's a dugout. area. Yeah, you're standing on granite, solid granite, and that trail is a good 8-10 feet below you.
Right.
So the roof of the rig still isn't at level with the rocks that you're standing on. So you have really good leverage lifting up.
Correct.
So that's what they did with the rear. Then Horton got on there and drug it sideways. So basically lifted the ass end up about 3 feet to get onto that big table rock in the center and get the tire on that. And then the guy in the front pulled. So we were able to pivot it around. So he lost his transmission.
Yeah,
He had zero
broken.
Transmission. Output shaft or something broke, and so he couldn't help at all other than steering, and so it worked out really well. Got him unstuck, and then so it was almost midnight. I remember looking and saying, "Hey, it's midnight. Let's turn around. We're not going to be able to play in the box. Let's start heading back up the trail." So Horton and Pete and all them joined up with us, and we started heading back up the trail. And I was at the front or second vehicle or something. And we get a call out on the radio that Horton's fuel pump went out.
Right.
All right, no big deal. We can change out a fuel pump pretty quick. And he's right at the base, right before you go up wind chill 3.5.
Right, okay.
So that step right there. So he's right at the base. And so we wait I wait 10 minutes and nothing. And I'm getting some updates from Kimberly. And they still couldn't get it going. So I'm like, all right, let me turn around. So I turned around, parked on that big rock, so as you're going down, it's to the left where that big drop off is, the wall, and Horton was right below it on 3.5.
Okay.
So I'm there, and I had my light bar on to shine light on them so they could see what's going on. It wasn't a fuel issue. We were getting fuel pressure. We were getting spark. So now it's like, okay, checking wiring, seeing why these injectors aren't firing. Long story short, we sat out there till about 2 o'clock.
Wow.
It was about 2 a.m.
That's a lot of brain power.
It was a lot of brain power
one.
there, and about 2 o'clock we called it and said we can't figure this out, and it was starting to get pretty chilly down there, and everybody was getting tired, and we don't like leaving rigs out on the trail, but it was like, let's just call it, let's head back to camp. So in the meantime, the people that were down at Wind Chill 3 needed to get back up, and we were in the center of the trail, and then they tried going over this big old log, and it's just, it was chaos. And finally, I think Glenn yelled at him, and somebody else yelled at him and said, hang on, give us 5 minutes, we will winch this out of the way.
Yeah.
So we got it winched out of the way, and then they came through. It's just like some people are so inconsiderate, but whatever.
Especially after you were helping them down below.
Yeah, well, yeah, we weren't helping them specifically. They were there.
Oh.
So
But Horton's still there, right?
Horton's rig is still there. So we got back to camp at 2:30-ish. And then, so that was Saturday night. So Sunday morning, I think they went down
Yeah.
to try and work on it. Couldn't work on it. And he says, look, I'm going to leave some stuff in your camp. I got to head back to work. I may be back Monday. So Monday, he was able to bring in a full crew,
Right.
another forerunner, so they could start swapping computers and testing parts between the
Right.
two vehicles. And so we did another run down the trail on Monday and said, hey, we're going to go down to committee and stuff. So they were ahead of us. So we passed them going down, and they were working on it, and they still didn't have it running yet.
Oh, boy.
So we go, hey, hopefully we don't see you when we turn around and come back up.
Yeah.
And so we had a great day on the trail, and we'll talk about that later. But came back up, and his forerunner was still sitting there with a tarp, and he took a log from the down tree from the forest and put it over to so rain it wouldn't puddle
Drape
on the tarp.
his tarp on it.
Yeah. So
Right.
it was like an A-frame.
It's the mountain man style.
The Horton's quite the survivor. I mean, he goes out as a great hunter, skier, all this stuff. So he's a alpinist, and he knew exactly how to button this thing up. So because we are expecting some weather here this week, a little shower or so, but. Anyway, so it's still on the trail, which sucks. So he's coming back, and push come to shove, we're just going to have to drag him up the hill.
Yeah, I was wondering why we haven't dragged him out.
Well, it was, hopefully, I mean, it's always great if you can get under your own power, but we've got enough artillery in camp that we can pull him back up the hill if we have to. So with a dead vehicle, it sucks.
No, I know. I mean, for sure.
So yeah, that was Saturday night, and then Sunday morning breakfast, and that's pretty much they just start pulling everything out of the the food truck that's left, the trailer.
Sell it all.
And then so
we've been eating that for the last 2 days.
cooking
Oh,
everything, and then it's camp cleanup. So they had camp tore down pretty quick.
Yeah, I think it
on
was
Sunday.
pretty much gone by noon.
So, and then Renee left. She went home. John ended up spending the night in Warren. Warren was a camp coordinator. So yeah, everybody was exhausted. I mean, there's just countless hours that they put in, even prior to the event, and then at the event itself. You just don't stop.
Just go.
So poor Renee looked like a zombie and was just tired, wanted to go home, get a shower, and see her dogs, and
Right.
just decompress. She had Monday off, so she was able to.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, kind of. I haven't talked to her. I got to give her a call today and see. But yeah, so that was Sierra Trek 55th annual. You did the historic run, Dolly and Eric. So you want to talk about that, because I've always heard great things about that event.
Oh, I've been trying to get on that historic run for 4 years now. It was awesome. Jim
Branham.
Branham. He was
Wealth
the
of knowledge.
A wealth of information. And the bonus part was we had Rose on the trip with us. Rose was driving Jim's Jeep. Rose has never been four-wheeling.
Oh.
She's been out in her Subaru, and she'd been overlanding
Okay.
and such. And she is the new resource officer for Cal4.
Oh, awesome.
So it was kind of a history lesson that Jim was giving her. So we got to get in on privy on a lot of things, like what lawsuit happened here and what happened on this trail, and what a carcinite is.
Carcinite.
Carcinite.
Yeah. And I knew what it was.
You knew what it was, and that's that little
The
fiber-
brown fiberglass-esque signs. They're carcinite.
Carcinite signs.
they put the little symbols on who could use that trail.
Right. The recreation. So is it horse? Is it, Jeep trail?
And we saw one that
bike?
had horse and motorcycle, and what else was on there? Four-wheelers.
Yeah,
I mean,
quad.
it had a whole array of multi-use.
Did you
and
see
that
any
was
with a granola bar on them? Or?
granola bar. We did see one with something strapped to the top of it. Wasn't sure what it was.
Whoa. All right.
Could have been somebody's shoe from the PCH.
But then it usually has the forest road number on there too, or
Yes.
to designate what route you're on, and maybe an arrow. But yeah, those are carcinite signs.
We went up to Ellis Peak. We went and
cool.
camped down. It's an overnighter, and they feed us. And we camped down at Bear Lake, and then we went up to Sourdough.
Okay.
Yeah, Sourdough is really
Sourdough's
interesting.
cool.
Sourdough is where the repeater is for the Rubicon Trail.
Right.
And you can see all those lakes. You can see Fordyce Lake. You can see Hellhole, Log Jam.
Right.
All those lakes right there in Desolation Valley. It was gorgeous.
Oh, I love Desolation.
But,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
That history run. The history run is for SUVs.
Yeah.
So it was very simple. There was maybe 15 rigs on the run.
And you do an overnight. That's an overnight.
we do an overnight.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Do they provide food, or you got to
Yeah,
provide your own
they
food?
provide
They
food.
provided the
Except,
food.
they even provided our lunches when
So
we
that
were out
was
there.
Wednesday, Thursday?
Yeah, we met Wednesday morning
Where was
in
the meet?
Truckee.
Oh, in Truckee. Okay.
in Truckee at that little at Taco Bell.
Taco
They
Bell.
fed us
Truckee.
breakfast
Yo
there.
quiero Taco Bell.
A little continental breakfast, and then we
Okay.
got on the road. We wound up at Bear Lake that night,
Okay.
and we saw some great territory. I mean,
right on.
and we learned the back way into Inspiration Point.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't have to go all the way around to Homewood and come in that long residential area.
Right.
But he is a wealth of information.
Yeah, and the history, the mining history and stuff up here is just so rich, and it's really interesting, and to see some of the remnants of buildings, foundation, or like, out on the trail, there's the cisterns down there, and the big wheel, the big metal wheel
down by
that's
committee,
on
yeah.
a hub, by committee, and the drums
volcanic
and stuff.
cones.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Volcanic cones that are still there, and the fact that Lake Tahoe was a volcano.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
When did it blow?
And it may be a volcano again someday.
Might be.
And what'll happen to all those $1 million houses? Sorry.
Yeah, and all those fancy boats.
All the fancy boats.
Maybe they'll come wash down to the Bay Area.
Right.
You got asbestos on that boat?
So yeah, very cool. I've always heard about that run and always wanted to do it, but it just seems like I'm locked into main camp every trek. But
Well, you both worked your butts off this week.
yeah, we did it. We were a little busy.
Yeah. I want to do the historical run. Sounds super cool. Do you need low range for that, or?
No, not really.
Because maybe
It's
I'll take my wife's Cherokee
suburbanable.
next year and
Yeah.
just do that.
Easy. I mean, you'll get a
the
little
chicory.
The chicory.
You'll get a little forest pinstriping, but
Yeah.
other than that, no, you don't need
Give the
anything.
chicory a little character. And then the other thing I really want to do, and maybe this is more important next year, to do the long wheelbase run and maybe go up to Signal Peak, because I do plan on having my rig up here next year. This was a short trip because of outside forces, but yeah, I'm glad you were able to do that and you had a ball.
Oh, we did have a ball. That was well worth it. And then the rest of the weekend, we just hung out.
Yep. Well, we've all been doing that really well.
Yeah, very cool. So yeah, I would chalk 55th annual Sierra Trek as a huge success.
2022.
2022. Looking forward to 23 already. I know it'll be bigger and better. They were taking copious notes this year. They started, I don't know how far back it went, but they started a book that they, chairman write notes in, like, hey, next year order this, next year bring this, or whatever. So I know John and Renee took copious notes last year, and they got even more notes this year. So, and they were already sharing some ideas for next year that sound pretty exciting. So
It's rather interesting, too, that they assist the chairman for a year,
right.
and then they take over the chairmanship for 2 years.
For 2 years.
Yeah,
right.
you shadow it, so you because you don't want to come in this thing blind. You would be.
It looked like there were a few of them that came in blind. In the little booklet where they list everybody that was the chairman of the
Right.
trek.
I'm sure there's gaps in trial by fire or something.
Oh, yeah.
And just like this year, they did not have co-chairs. So,
Oh, that's true.
so they didn't get to train anybody this year, and hopefully somebody steps up to be co-chair next year. Because
I see Chris's hand up.
Yeah, he's raising
Oh,
his
no.
hand.
Oh, yeah.
No.
I see
You
it.
and Lorenzo, co-chairs.
Lorenzo.
Sierra Trek.
That was the racking of a shotgun, by the way.
So, any other thoughts or comments about Sierra Trek 55 before we wrap this episode up?
No, I mean, nothing major. I thought it was an epic event. The people were very well behaved this year. There didn't seem to be a whole lot of jackassery going on.
Jackassery. Isn't that the 12-volt unit that you use
Yeah,
to charge
the
stuff?
jackery.
Oh, that's a jackery. Okay.
Jackassery.
But you didn't have people racing around camp at 2 a.m, blaring horns and
You know
music
what?
and
You're
stuff.
right. This is really back in the old days. It was pretty wild out here.
Wild
We got a little
West.
western.
So
Got a little western, but yeah, it's a huge family event.
it is.
There's kids running around swimming in the lake. I mean, there's all kinds of
Kayaking and-
activities to
yep.
do.
Yep.
The kids' games on Saturday.
The kids raffle
yeah,
on
the
Saturday.
kids raffle. They have a whole raffle just for kids.
just for kids at 4 o'clock on
So-
Saturday. The cold
So that's cool.
and the RC track. Did you get down there?
Yeah,
that
there's
RC track.
There's kids there, but there's a lot of adults there at
Oh,
the RC
man.
rock crawl course,
Yeah.
and it's a badass rock crawl course.
Yeah.
It is.
I saw it a few times this trip, but I didn't get to operate one. Did you go operate
no,
one?
I think I'm going to go buy one, a nice one here this year.
They're
next year.
sweet.
Yeah.
You know what? That would be great because you could build a little rock course in your backyard, and you could actually wheel, Chris.
I'll get a little
You could actually wheel.
first-person video camera going on it.
But
I'm
like
gonna
we
get,
talked
I'm gonna get a hold of Dusty Jerome and have him set me up.
You really should. I like this idea a lot because one, you have the money to afford to do it, and two, is you don't have to leave your house to do it, and three, it'll make you a better wheeler because everybody that says it has one of those competition little rock buggies that they rock crawl in their backyard with have learned a lot of techniques, and they have applied
Cody
it to the
Wagner was
trail,
talking
so-
about that.
Slauson still selling them?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Slauson's got a limited edition race car.
Yeah.
Oh, I probably can't afford that. but-
No,
He'll sign it for you.
You can
I'll get him to
afford it. You
sign
got
for
Chris
you.
bucks.
Right.
Or is it called Chris Money? Hashtag,
Yeah, hashtag Chris money. Hashtag
Right.
Chris money.
No, I think in closing, this is a great event this year. The weather was epic. And we're sitting here on Tuesday recording right now, Tuesday morning. And while we've been recording, the clouds have rolled in and it's definitely cooled off a few degrees. And I think we are, in fact, going to get some weather. So
we will get some weather at some point.
But
It's the Sierras. If you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know how to get a hold of us? You have any final comments, Dolly?
I want to thank Cal4 for their great effort in getting this Sierra Trek off. It was awesome.
Right on.
It takes an army, as you saw.
Yep.
You were part of.
Right on, right on. So yeah, as I was saying, you know how to get a hold of us on the IG, our emails. We've announced it over the last 169 previous episodes. And don't forget to support, if you feel like supporting the show and you like it, you can jump on irate4x4.com and feel free to sign up for free with irate4x4.com. If you want to support the show, there's a special section for us there too.
Yes. So, awesome event. If you didn't go for whatever reason, put it on your calendar for next year.
Hell yeah.
And go on that history tour.
And then do the history tour.
And
if
we'll
you want
announce
to get
when
some of
registration opens on the show.
Yeah.
When we know.
All right. With that,
We're out.
No, we're out.
no,
We're out.
No, we're out.
We're out.
We're out.
We're out.
Hashtag. We're out.
Love you, Dolly.